At my gym is Vision Mixed Martial Arts. We're probably one of the best up-and-coming gyms in the area. We have 15 professional fighters, and we have 4 guys in the top 100 in the world right now. March 26th, we're putting on an MMA show at Norwood High School. First one of its kind. It's an all-charity event. It's going back to Norwood. All the proceeds goes back to the athletic department. Hopefully we're going to have about 14 or 15 fights, pro fighters and amateur fighters on the card, and it's going to be an exciting night. We're going to have at least 3 to 4 pro fights and probably 8 to 9 amateur fights. Dan Strauss, who's going to be in the Bellator tournament, which is the biggest tournament going on in the country right now. He's ranked 14th in the world. Victor O'Donnell, who was in the Ultimate Fighter, he's one of my guys too. He's going to be there at the fights. And then Roger Bowling, who's fought three times in Strikeforce, who's another top 100 fighter. Kerry Shaw, who's one of the best fighters, been all over the world. He's going to be there. Just come out, be ready for a great night. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it supports the community.
Please welcome Sterling Bosch, Hank Burling, Aiden Burling, and Chase Flea. They're Norwood students who will help us out tonight with our ring cards. And I also understand it's Rod Housley nearby. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the cage, Rod Housley!
I'll make this quick. Guys, thanks everybody for coming out. We're really excited about the fights tonight. This is an opportunity. I graduated from Norwood back in '86, so it's an opportunity for me to pay back in school and help the athletic program. I'm just excited to be here. And thanks for coming out. Hopefully I have a great night of fights.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you all to please rise as we honor America. Tonight, singing the national anthem, 11-year-old Daisy Howard.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early was so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gay.
He stands 5'10", weighing 225 pounds. Fighting out of Fairfield, Ohio, this is James Lester. He stands 5'11", weighing 238 pounds.
I think James is definitely going to be looking to get this fight to the ground right away.
He makes his debut, Chris Pumpkinfish Prather.
This is definitely a fight of the contrasting styles. Kickboxer versus grappler. Our referee to start it out tonight is Greg Franklin, UFC referee and brother of UFC fighter Rich Franklin. And here we go. Chris coming out, throwing kicks right away. And there James gets the takedown. looking to pass guard. Gets one over. He's now in half guard. Looking to pass over and get into side control. Going for full mount now. He's got full mount. Prather's trying to buck him off. Chris is going to give him his back. James is looking to sink his hooks in and flatten him out. Got the choke right away. Rear naked choke, first round.
Your winner, James Lester!
Once again, tonight, 100% of these proceeds after expenses is going to Norwood Athletics. It's a great thing that co-promoter Kerry Shaw and Ron Housley are doing. Both these fighters have great unsanctioned records. I think Justin is 12-3, and with the win over Justin, Ben Cox is 13-3. So, very good records, very tough fighters. Justin is a wrestler, but he really likes to stand and let his hands go. So I think he's definitely going to be looking to get the knockout tonight.
170 pounds, fighting out of Norwood, Ohio. He represents Team Vision with a record of 9 wins, 3 losses. Ben Cox!
Once again, Ben Cox, Norwood alum, said he's going to look to stand today and throw the hands and look for a knockout. Looking forward to this one. These guys fought back in 2010. We got UFC, Strikeforce, and Bellator vet Gary Copeland is your referee. Justin throws a nice lead leg kick. Justin's got heavy, heavy hands. Very heavy hands. This should be a great action-packed fight. Ben Cox looks to be the bigger of the two. Nice knee to the right up the middle from Ben. They break, looking to throw the hands again. Seems like Justin is waiting for Ben to step in, throw the hands, and he's countering. Looking for the throw. Ben defending very well. And Ben gets the takedown. Got promoter Rod Housley joining us here. Rod is a pro fighter himself and runs Vision MMA. Justin's giving up his back here. Once again, their first fight finished in a rear naked choke. See if Justin defends. What he needs to do here is get 2 hands on one, control one of Ben's hands. As long as he has one hand controlled, it's going to be really hard to submit him from here. Now Ben's got his hooks in and he's flattening Justin out. Looks like he's not going for the submission, he's looking for the knockout. Justin looking to control, not let him get that choke in. Looks like it's on the chin, doesn't look like it's under the neck. Now he just slid it underneath. Ben is squeezing, but I don't think he's got it completely underneath the chin yet. Justin's doing a very good job here defending, even though Ben's got him flattened out. 10 seconds left in the round. Looks like Justin's probably going to escape, get out of this round. Maybe not. It looks like it's sunk in. Tapped at the bell. Tapped at the bell. Rear naked choke. First round, Ben Cox. If he would have waited a half a second longer, this fight would be going to a second round. I think that Randy is definitely going to try to keep this one on his feet.
Amateur fight scheduled for 3
Test Cody's chin.
Introducing first in the blue
I
corner.
want to say that Cody's going to be looking for the takedown immediately.
Weighing 137 pounds.
Very big,
Fighting out of
135
Springboro,
pounder.
Ohio.
5'10".
He represents Team Prodigy, Cody Riggs. And in the red
My lovely
corner,
wife teasing
he
us with
stands
food.
5'7", weighing 140 pounds. Fighting out of Sumner, Indiana. He represents the Midwest Fight Club and sponsored by Bangtown Fightwear. This is Randy Batman Robbins.
Here we go. Looks like a slip by Randy. Coming in, looking to jab. Cody throwing some kicks. Randy coming right back with him. Looks like so far both fighters are looking to stand. Big overhand right by Robbins. Front kick. Being very aggressive. Throwing big looping right hands and catching Riggs on the chin. Cody steps back. Oh, big right hand. Both fighters connected there. I think both of them are rocked. Randy Robbins has really found a home for that right hand. He's stalking him now. Got him against the cage. He's tying up with him, which I don't think is the best thing for him to do here. Cody is such a good wrestler. Now he's got Randy on his back. Randy was definitely winning the stand-up on there. And now he's got Cody into his guard. Like I said, Randy does not mind being on his back. He likes working off of his guard. He's got a pretty decent triangle choke. Got a good flexibility. He's got a very high guard right now. Looks like he might be going for an omoplata. Just trying to control him, I believe. Just trying to keep him from landing strikes. He's getting them legs up there high, and Cody's not responding. He's not posturing at all. Randy going for an armbar here. Randy doing a great job here of controlling Cody, not letting Cody cause any damage at all. Cody's putting him on the fence though. Passing to half guard. Now he's out full mount. Randy's giving him his back. Full mount. He's going to the body, looking to strike. Not going to submit. He's looking to strike. Now he's got his back, got his hooks in, got the armbar. Cody gets the submission win by armbar. What a good fight. Randy was definitely winning the fight, had rocked him a couple times on the feet, chose to clinch with him, and once it went to the ground, it was all over from there. It was all Cody. Great jiu-jitsu, great wrestling. Good technical armbar by Cody. And that's what we like to see. Good sportsmanship in the cage afterwards.
2 minutes,
Rick Toms with your
40
announcement.
seconds into round 1. Referee Craig Franklin stops this contest when he sees the tap out to the arm bar. Your winner, Cody Riggs.
making his debut, making it a good one. Got his chin tested in that fight, for sure. Now he knows what it's like. Looks like Brandon is definitely the bigger of the two. Both
All right,
these guys can fight
this
at
next fight
85,
is an
no
amateur
problem.
fight. It is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds. Introducing first in the blue corner, he stands 5'7", weighing 193 pounds. Fighting out of Aurora, Indiana, representing Juggernaut MMA and sponsored by Bangtown Fightwear. With a record of 1 win, 1 loss, Ron Foreman. And in the red corner, he stands
Still trying to get
weighing
microphone
195
fixed here.
pounds. Fighting out of Cincinnati, Ohio, he represents Team Vision with an undefeated record of 2 wins and no losses. Brandon Morrow.
Nothing at all. I can hear now. Did you get anything?
No, I can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you put
Pull it off your ear and do it
Yeah.
like that. I have you.
Okay, awesome. I can hear you now.
Can you?
No, I can't. I can hear me.
Yeah, you can hear you.
Yeah.
But you can't hear me.
No.
Looks like Ron got the takedown. Looking to pass. Definitely where Ron is more comfortable. On top, he's a good high school wrestler. He's got very good hips. Looks like Ron has passed into side control. And now to full mount. Oh, and Brandon gets back to half guard. Ron being very patient, not pushing it, keeping his dominant position. Looks like Ron might be going for an armbar here. Brandon gives up his back. Yep, and Ron goes for an armbar. Setting up, striking from there. And Brandon gets out. Brandon. Oh, Ron with
Nice
a great
hip
throw. Great throw by Ron. Back into side control, trapping, looking to trap the arm, going for a crucifix position. Brandon trying to get out, trying to get to a hip, and he gets that arm out. Brandon needs to try to get back into half guard here at least, which is definitely not an easy task for such a good wrestler like Ron Foreman. Looks like Ron has went for knee to belly. Brandon turned in, back into half guard. Looks like we might have our first fight go into the second round here tonight.
All right, that concludes round number 1.
Good round for Ron Foreman.
2 more rounds are scheduled in this fight.
All right, Rodney, I think we're going to attempt this here.
Fightwear are in the house here tonight.
First round
They are
seemed to
fighting
be
for men, women, and also
pretty much all Ron Foreman.
stand tall and fight for it. Bangtown.
Yeah, Ron using his superior wrestling skills. See if Brandon looks to keep it on the feet this round.
Looks like Brandon has Dan Strauss in his corner, probably looking for a little stand-up, maybe some back and forth on the wrestling. A little ground and pound, not too much jiu-jitsu. Ron Foreman seems to be the better of the two as far as the jiu-jitsu game goes. He had a chance for an armbar there. Instead, he stayed on the back. A couple good scrambles, but Ron Foreman, nice hip toss, beautiful hip toss, hit very good hips, hard to control.
Looks like Ron might be in better shape out of the two.
Yes. Brandon Moore looks a little tired.
Yes,
however, you fight off your back like that, it becomes a little tiring.
All right, fight fans here in Norwood High School. Are you ready for
second round of the night? Ron is definitely going to look to get it right back down to the ground. Ron comes out southpaw. There's an inside leg kick.
You can definitely tell that Ron is a wrestler, not a Thai guy. Elbows out. Boy, nice, very nice outside leg kick though. Brandon maybe needs to utilize that jab a little more to close the distance.
Brandon puts Ron on his back. Very impressive. Let's see what Ron has off of his guard.
I think if Brandon looks to pass here and maybe utilize a little ground and pound of his own, he can nullify the jiu-jitsu.
He's got Ron against the cage right now.
Ron looks pretty comfortable in the guard though.
Ron has a very good jiu-jitsu coach in Jason Hall. Jason more of a catch wrestler. I think Ron's been training with Jason for about a year now. Ron trying to get his knee up in Brandon's chest. Ron looks very comfortable.
Brandon Moore, he needs to watch keeping that head posted up on the fence like that. At this point, he could almost wall walk up that fence, pull him down into him, wall walk up.
Landed some nice hammer fists from the bottom. Very impressive. Very hard to pass Ron's guard.
This is one of those cases that it almost, in the judge's eyes, shouldn't be counted as, and that he's in the least dominant position. I think that's a good call by referee Gary right there. Stand him up.
I agree. Brandon wasn't doing any damage. Ron was doing the most work off of his back. Great shot by Ron and the takedown. Excellent hips. Right into side control. Very comfortable on his ground as Ron Foreman. Very comfortable.
As the second round comes to a close, I think I have Ron Foreman up 2 rounds to none on the undefeated division fighter Brandon Morrill.
I would have to agree. He did the most damage, even off of his back. He did more damage.
I think even off of his back, he was the more damaging fighter. Had more control off of his back than Brandon did sitting in his guard.
And he hit that big takedown at the end. That's got to. The judge is definitely going to see it. It's always nice when you can finish the round on top.
Reminding everyone, we're heading into the third and final round.
That UFC, Strikeforce, and Bellator veteran Gary Copeland is our referee for this fight. And Ron looks like he's got plenty of gas. He doesn't look gassed at all.
Brandon looks a little beat up right now. He looks a little tired. He's kind of sucking wind, deep breaths. Doesn't look very calm or relaxed in the corner right now. Whereas Ron looks, he looks very calm, collected, cool, Looks like his heart rate's already slowed down. He's ready to go for the third.
I'd say he's definitely going to come out here and look for the takedown right away and secure the win here.
You know, this is where a lot of stand-up guys have problems. With a wrestler with good hips, that's a little bit better in jiu-jitsu, but can maintain that top control. And the takedowns are difficult to defend. With a good wrestler, a good pedigree, it's tough for a stand-up guy once you're on the ground to get back up, especially with a guy with heavy hips.
I think once Ron actually gets his hands, where they need to be, I think he's going to be very hard to deal with for anybody at the 185-pound division.
I'd like to see him tighten those elbows up a little tighter to the body.
Chin down a little bit more.
Yes, sir. He reaches a little bit on his punches.
That is the one thing you cannot do against a wrestler is overcommit. Every time you overcommit, this is what happens. Big
slam. Right to side control. Brandon Morrill's in a little trouble right here. This is a bad spot for him, especially with a guy with great hips and somebody that's been dominating. Mentally, it's difficult to get out of this, too. Now he goes a knee on the belly, looking to pass. Morrill looks to sweep.
And gives up his back. Oh, look for a big takedown here by Foreman. Brandon needs to turn into him. Try to get underhooks, good knees.
Softening up the legs a little bit. Makes it difficult to stand and lean in when you're getting the legs softened up. You see him reach right away for the switch.
Now, what Ron's got to be careful here is not to knee to the face. There's no knees to the face in amateur mixed martial arts in Ohio. It's going to be very hard for him to hit a switch on such a good wrestler like Ron Foreman. But he does it. He gets the takedown. And the side control.
Into side mount. Now we'll get an opportunity to see just how good Brandon's top game is. He goes to a north-south position. This can be a deceiving position.
Ron's up to his knees.
And you can kind of tell the inexperience in wrestling there. The hips were high. It was easy for Ron to just roll right out of that. Looks like he's going for a little anaconda choke here.
Just such a dominating performance by Ron Foreman. Look,
the head and arm choke. Now what he's got to do is get that arm completely across.
It's making it really hard because he's got the fence there.
He can't flatten his hips out.
Thumbs up by Brandon. Answering the phone, which is what you got to do. Now he might be in a little bit more trouble. What Ron needs to do is push off of the fence with his feet, create some space so he can flatten out. But it looks like he's content just staying there.
10 seconds left in the round here. Looks like he's just going to ride out a victory. In my humble opinion, I would say this is a 30-27 majority decision for Ron Foreman.
I would have to agree. Very dominating decision.
Brandon Morrill to the distance. We now turn things over to our judges.
So we have our first fight of the night that goes all 3 rounds.
Here in just a moment.
What do you think about Ron? Do you think he can get his hands together? You think I think he's going to give anybody a really tough fight at 185.
I think his jiu-jitsu is above average at the amateur level he's at right now. I would say his wrestling is well above average. He definitely needs work on his stand-up. I saw a lot of bad movements, a lot of bad posture. However, that being said, obviously the kid's a hard worker. And I would say he's got a bright future.
Absolutely. And Ron did take this fight on a week's notice, but he was getting ready for the jiu-jitsu tournament, so his cardio was in he's very good shape. Cardio definitely wasn't an issue for him. Tough kid. I think he's going to be very good.
I think this is definitely a decent win for him. Granted, Brandon was only 2-0, but he does come out of a good camp, comes out of Vision. You train with some tough people over there. So this is definitely a good win for Ron.
Absolutely. And from what I understand, Ron is looking to check out Vision here in the next couple of weeks.
I'm sure Vision will be excited to welcome him in. And I know that they look for the best to compete with in and out of the cage and in the gym. Both of them have extremely good talent and extremely good pedigree, good camps. They both have an opportunity to do something in the sport, and I'd like to see them fight as much as they can on the amateur level. I'm old school. I come from the boxing world. You had as many amateur fights as you could get, you took before you made the leap. And it's definitely an issue I think needs to be looked at, especially in the state of Ohio with our commission. Maybe revamp some of the regulations. But these guys are definitely going to be standout fighters.
Yeah. And you know, that is the biggest problem with, these amateur fights really don't mean nothing. They're all for experience. And there's a lot of guys that turn pro before they're ready, and they go out and they start right off the bat with 3 or 4 losses as pros, and that's not the way you want to start. You get as many amateur fights as you can. You fight the toughest guys that you can possibly get in the cage with, and test yourself before you turn pro.
Yeah, that's where I'm a firm believer, and that's where you develop your ringmanship. You get rid of all the nerves. You've seen everything that you can see in the cage, the ring, whatever it may be, is in the amateur ranks. When you go to the professional ranks, I don't think it's a time for you to be experiencing things or wanting to advance your particular situation. You need to do that in the amateur ranks.
Absolutely.
The only thing different in the professional ranks is maybe you're going to see some longer rounds and you're going to get into some deeper water, but that's why you make the move to be a professional fighter. I'm really excited to see this fight. I had an opportunity to work with Ty a couple weeks ago down at Vision. Tough kid, good technique. He's the kind of kid that you see on the street, you meet in a bar and you think, oh, this kind of a goofy kid. But when you get down to work with him in the gym, he has good hands, good jiu-jitsu, loves the sport, he's a hard worker.
Absolutely. Now, I would say Ty definitely has the better wrestling pedigree. Ty's a very good wrestler, but I don't look at him taking his fight to the ground. They're going to stand, and I think they're going to try to knock one another out.
Oh, definitely, especially after Lobenstein's 18-second knockout at Absolute Action. 18-second knockout is, I don't care who you are, what level you're at, that's a kid that has punching power and can end a fight quickly.
Justin will definitely look to use his hands here. He's not going to throw a ton of kicks. Ty, on the other hand, I look to really throw the low leg kicks. I'm excited for this fight. This is going to be a really, really good fight.
Greg's a great referee.
Craig Franklin calling your action.
Greg's a great referee. We got 2 of the best referees in the state, without a doubt, tonight. And here we go.
Both guys coming right to the center of the cage. Boy, a nice leg kick. I'd like to see him set that up a little more.
Ate a right hand for it.
Tiger pushing the pressure up against the cage. Tiger pushing the pressure up against the cage.
I think Justin clipped him there early, and Ty decided to go ahead and try to get it to the ground. Great wrestler is Ty, really good wrestler. Justin looks like he's got pretty good defense right here. Great hip toss.
Nice lateral.
Justin has got pretty good jiu-jitsu off his back. Justin has got pretty good jiu-jitsu off his back. Talking to him yesterday, he's very comfortable there.
He's in a bad spot now, though. Head pushed against the cage. Ties hips down into his legs. What he needs to do is grab the heels. Maybe sweep tie. Tie's very deep. What he needs to do is grab the heels. Maybe sweep tie. Tie's very deep. There he goes with the one single heel.
Started to go for the knee bar and ended up giving up side control.
Started to go for the knee bar and he ended up giving up side control.
Not a good spot for Justin.
Ty keeps looking for that knee to belly. Not a good spot right now for Justin Lobenstein.
Tying to full mount.
Oh! Giving up his back, giving up the arms.
Ty has a possibility for an armbar right here.
Justin's got to jump over.
Justin needs to step over Ty's head right now. Now Ty can scoot him away from the cage. Now if Ty can scoot him away from the cage, maybe sit up, soften him up a little bit. Sit right, you go, sit right back up into him. Soften him up. He's
good defense by Justin Lobenstein.
Nice scramble.
But there once again, that is the superior wrestling of Ty Ingram. Back where Justin wants to be, on the feet.
Ty needs to, in order to nullify that left hand, Ty needs to keep stepping to his right. Nice.
Big slam.
The crowd seemed to really enjoy that one. The crowd always loves a big slam.
Step over armbar. Giving up a dominant position, going for that armbar. 10 seconds, see if he can hold out.
Ty looking to maybe finish with a little ground and pound here.
Good round.
Very nice round. Definitely think Ty Ingram got the better of that round.
Without a doubt.
You could definitely tell his superior wrestling. However, Lobenstein looks to be a tough kid and looks to be a little, maybe not sharper, but a little more powerful standing up. I think Ty felt a big left hand there and definitely knew that maybe that might not be the spot he wants to be. Like I said before, 18-second knockout. You got to have a little power in that hands. And Lobenstein's a southpaw. Ty's conventional. Ty seems to be standing right in the box with him, not stepping to the outside. He gets set up for a left hand right there, a left hand and right hook. Ty needs to maybe, if he decides to keep standing a little bit, maybe use that jab in the face of Lobenstein to step to the outside, follow with the right hand. However, if Lobenstein walks him down and throws that big left hand and right hook, Ty may be looking to push that action right back down to the ground.
I would have definitely gave the stand-up in that round to Lobenstein.
Definitely, I agree.
But the round overall definitely went to Ty.
Yes, great superior wrestling. And he went ahead with a couple submission attempts.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think in a judge's eye, they have to take that into consideration. That's being dominant on the ground.
Now, Lobenstein took this fight on about 4 days' notice, so conditioning is definitely going to play a factor here.
He looks game, though. He looks like he's in good shape. Usually guys like this, tough guys like these amateurs up and coming, they live in the gym. So 4 days' notice is nothing for that.
Now, Lobenstein comes out conventional here, and if Ty doesn't set one of them kicks up, he's going to eat a big shot, and he just did. And immediately looks to clinch.
I think that's an underutilized part of the stand-up in MMA is the jab and the feint, the foot feints, and the setups standing up.
Absolutely.
Nice inside knee.
You got to bring the hands up before you throw that kick. The jab, the long hook.
Nice knee.
I'm impressed with Lobenstein's takedown defense here. Nice knee.
I'm a little surprised at the ease that Ty has him pressured against the fence. He doesn't go for a little Ty clinch.
Justin's got double underhooks. He needs to turn him on the cage.
Justin's got double underhooks. He needs to turn him on the cage.
Justin going for the takedown, I don't see him getting this. And even if he does, I don't
Justin
think
going
it's
for the
right place
takedown,
to
I don't see him getting this.
separate.
And even if he does, I don't think it's the right place to be. He needs to try to separate and get back out to the center of the cage where he can throw his hands.
Ty's a dangerous kid even off of his back.
Absolutely. Good separation.
Very good separation by referee Greg Franklin. Greg's got a lot of experience in there.
Ty looks a little gunshot here.
I think he ate a couple of those left and right hands that Lobenstein's throwing bombs. The problem with that is a guy that took a fight on 4 days' notice and he goes in throwing bombs like that as Ty lands a nice inside knee. Nice knee to the leg. The problem with that is they gas real quick. And you can kind of tell as this round goes on, Lobenstein's a little tired right now. He's not as fresh.
I definitely would love to see this fight with both fighters in good cardio condition.
And I think this will be one that you maybe see down the road, a couple years down the road, not in the amateur ranks. I've always been a firm believer, too, that there's no reason to rematch a kid in the amateurs. You've already seen it. You've seen what he can do. You got that experience, move on. Tough, big punches from the top by Ty Ingram.
Little up kick there that Greg did not see. Good scramble by Lobenstein, but he gives up his back. Ty gets one hook in.
He's a little high.
Looking for the second. He's got the second. Now he's going to look.
He's a little high on his back.
Absolutely.
Lobenstein should try and work to come out the back door there.
Needs the tripod, but instead they roll over. And
now if Lobenstein can maintain control of one wrist, maybe step over a heel and turn into him.
Good hammer fist off of the bottom there by Lobenstein. Caught Ty a little off guard.
End of round number 2. Good round. I thought that was a little more evenly matched. That's a tough round to score. Even though it ended with Ty on top and raining down some damaging blows, I still think Lobenstein got the better of the stand-up there. He's not as crisp as Ty. He doesn't look as fluent, but he throws bigger bombs and he's a little more accurate. You see Aaron Thomas over there in Ty Ingram's corner talking to him as the doctor's in Lobenstein's corner checking him out. Maybe he has a cut. Looks like he's looking above the eye.
Hey, tonight, everything that Bangtown Fightwear sells, 10% of it is donated to Norwood Athletics.
Now,
Go check it out.
Ty actually looks like he's starting to wear a little bit. He's over in the corner. He's definitely in better shape than Lobenstein.
Yes.
Lobenstein taking the fight on such a short notice.
I think Lobenstein kind of nullifies Ty Ingram's his conditioning right now with the bigger punches. He threw some bombs, and you could visibly see there that a couple that caught Ty were wobbled the knees a little bit.
And this is what I love to see at the amateurs, going the distance, really, fighting it out.
Get the experience.
That's right.
Get the ring experience. Fight the tough guys. If you're an amateur out there today and you have a 500 record, but you're 20-20, you know what? You probably fought some good guys, and when you go to the pros, you're not going to be – there's nothing you haven't seen before.
And Lobenstein comes out, and
now Ty's in the left-handed spot.
Good body kick by Ty. Big slam.
Nice takedown. Huge takedown. Right to mount. Ty looks like he wants to finish.
Absolutely.
Going to put his head against the fence and beat on him a little bit.
I think he senses that Lobenstein is tired, and he's going to take advantage of it and try to finish the fight. He's got
Lobenstein right to his back. Ty, I can't tell if he has a body triangle or 2 hooks in right now from our vantage point. Looks like he's got hooks.
Got him flattened
out. Now Lobenstein needs to hang on to that wrist and suck his knees back up, because if not, you're in a very vulnerable spot with the double grapevine all stretched out. Looks like Ty may be working for that. It's over. Ty Ingram finishes with a rear naked choke.
And that's what I love to see in a good amateur fight is battle for 2 rounds and then somebody still got it to finish it in the third.
Yes. Lobenstein's a gamer, though.
Absolutely. This
is definitely a fight I'd like to see a couple years down the road after they both spend a little more time in the gym, a few more amateur fights, turn pro. I'd like to see this at 55 a few years down the road in a little bigger show.
Absolutely. Ty put his Vision shirt on there. Very proud Vision fighter. I have to give it up for Justin Lobenstein, though. taking a fight on such short notice, he really gave Ty all he wanted tonight.
And Ty Ingram is not a kid that you can walk in there and not be in shape or not be ready to fight. He's a tough kid. This was not a bad loss for Justin Lowenstein.
Not at all. That's definitely one on your record that people are going to look at and say, wow, that was went to the third round.
Into the third round.
Good fight.
Referee Craig Franklin stops this contest when he sees the tap out to the rear naked choke. Your winner, Ty Ingram.
This is a fight that I am really looking forward to.
I am very excited for this fight. Mike Ambrose had a vision. You talk about a wrestling pedigree. This is a kid with a deep wrestling pedigree. Drew Parks, Prodigy guy. Prodigy is another place, another gym around town that they put their work in. They're a respected gym. I know some of the Kenny Works comes from there. Great fighter, good stand-up coach. These guys are tough kids. They come to fight. Both out of both gyms. This is going to be, I think, a non-stop back and forth. This is another one I think is going to go deep. I think both these guys are tough and have the gas tank to go for a long time. I don't think it's going to be a quick ender.
No, not at all. I know Drew Parks has trained really, really hard for this. He got the opportunity to fight Mike. He was training for another fight. Mike's fight fell through. And when I presented this fight to Drew, he jumped on it without hesitation. Really looking forward to fight Ambrose and test himself.
Now, you did tell me earlier that Drew Parks has fought as high as 185. I wonder if that's going to be an issue a little bit later into the third, into the deeper water. That weight cut, that drop down, or did he? Do you know from the camp if he did it the right way?
Well, from what Kenny tells me and from what Drew tells me, he has been at 156 for the last 3 weeks. So this is a kid that could probably even fight at 45. And when he fought at 85, he was just, way too low for his, for the weight class. He's not a big kid at all.
He looks in shape.
Absolutely.
He looks toned. He doesn't look like he has a lot of water sitting on his stomach. He looks like he cut well.
Yes.
You can sometimes tell, pardon me, when a guy cuts weight, a lot of water weight, he's a little soft in the middle when he gets in the cage the next night or that night if he's an amateur. He's a little pudgy. He's got a little water on his belly, as they say in the locker room. Drew Parks doesn't look like he's got that extra water on his gut right now.
If I would have had to guess which fighter actually had the harder weight cut, I would say it was probably Mike Ambrose. Mike is a decent size 55, but it's something he's been doing his whole life.
Exactly. Yes.
He knows how to do it.
Wrestlers, that's the biggest advantage I think wrestlers have over anybody else in the MMA world today is their ability to maintain and cut weight. These guys have been doing it their entire life. They're used to being fatigued. They're used to being hungry. They're used to being thirsty.
Yeah. And I've said this since I started doing jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts. If you could take a great wrestler with the pedigree of Mike Ambrose and teach him good jiu-jitsu defense, take, for instance, Dan Strauss. Dan doesn't look to submit. He's a grinder with great wrestling, and he's got great jiu-jitsu defense, as he proved in his fight in Bellator just last week. Got in some bad spots, but was able to push through. And I think that's where Ambrose is at. Superior wrestler with good submission defense. Very, very tough guy. This is going to be a tough fight for Parks. But this is another one that if Drew loses his fight, this is not a bad fight to lose.
It's definitely not a bad loss. And I respect these guys that do this, that fight the tough fights in the amateur ranks. You have to see this. In order to be successful and to be a champion and to make it in this sport, in any sport, in boxing, kickboxing, MMA, you have to be able to take a few lumps and experience what that's like. You have to face the tough guys. And if you have the ability to beat those tough guys, you're going to go a long way in this sport. You're going to be very successful. Even if you get in there as an amateur and you bang with the toughest guys and you have a terrible record, a 5-10 record, you will be that much more ahead of the curve when it comes to your average 0-0 pro.
Absolutely. And you know, this is the place to test yourself. It's not, I mean, like I said, when I offered this fight to Drew, he jumped on it. You know, he knew everything about Mike, looked him up on the internet, and was eager to take this fight. And he told me today, he said, this is going to be a good fight. So
Mike does struggle. His stand-up has gotten much better recently in the past few months, but he is new to the stand-up game, so he may struggle a little bit with some angles. Not too familiar with Drew's stand-up, but I do know both of these guys are tough guys, and I know Drew's a banger.
Yeah.
Drew has a little power in his hands, and Ambrose most likely will look to do exactly that.
Yes. Well, you know, Park's coming from Prodigy under Kenny Warwick's, that, you know, they work a lot of hands. Kenny's got very good hands, but Kenny's also a good wrestler and a good jiu-jitsu practitioner. So two great camps here. I'm very proud to have the Prodigy guys on this card.
If I can give you a little shout out, I think you did an excellent job in matchmaking tonight.
Thank you.
These have been terrific fights, and I know we have 2 more coming up that are going to be phenomenal professional bouts. Really looking forward to the main event on this card.
Yes.
Jeremy Myers and Quinn Broomfield. Myers coming out of Walker MMA, coming up as a kickboxer. I did a lot of work with the Walker guys, and Broomfield, and superb boxer.
Absolutely.
So we're going to see not the typical striker versus grappler, but the kickboxer versus the boxer. Now this is where Mike, I think, is comfortable. He's comfortable sitting in the guard, posting up, raining down some blows. Typical wrestler, typical big pedigree wrestler.
Now, Mike's last fight, he actually took a flash knockout, hit the ground, woke up, and ended up taking the kids back and submitting him. So he's been hit. He knows what it's like. I look for him to really, well, what he's doing now. He's going to push it. This is where he's comfortable, and he's
big left hands.
He's not going to look to submit. He's going to look to strike. And they got him right there in Victor O'Donnell's ear right now.
He's got Victor O'Donnell and Aaron Thomas in his corner. Go right to mount. Great. That's those wrestlers' hips there.
And a good escape by Drew Parks. I mean, even though he's still inside control, he got out of mount rather quickly.
Wrestlers always seem to have that kinesthetic awareness. They are always aware of where their opponent's body is in relation to their own. And Ambrose is a perfect example of that. That scramble right there was... I mean, Parks looks like a strong guy.
Yeah.
He actually looks the bigger of the two here.
Without a doubt, I think you got to say that wrestling is by far the best sport to have, to come into mixed martial arts.
As much as I hate to admit that, because I'm a stand-up guy, I have a lot of stand-up background, and I did wrestle in high school, and a lot of guys do. I was never a state qualifier, never one of those guys that wrestling was my pedigree, because it was not. It was not my forte. Stand-up, boxing, coming up in boxing, kickboxing gyms my entire life. It pains me to say that, yes, wrestling is definitely, right now, the way the sport has evolved, one of the best avenues into the world of mixed martial arts.
And it's not even the elite college wrestlers, even the high school wrestling. Just having that high school wrestling, the wrestler dictates where the fight goes. If he wants to keep it on his feet, then he keeps it on his feet. But if he wants it to go to the ground, then that's where he takes it. And without a doubt, I'm a big fan of Ty. But it's just so hard with a good wrestler. And Ambrose is not, you can't say good wrestler. That's not doing him justice. Ambrose is a phenomenal wrestler.
He wrestled, I believe, at the University of Miami. Anytime you're a Division I collegiate wrestler, I don't care if you're 0-50. If you got there, you are. Not everybody's Cale Sanderson. Not everybody is Dan Gable or David Taylor of the nowadays. If you got there, your pedigree is deep. Runs very deep.
Absolutely. And I look for Parks to throw big punches here. He needs not to overcommit. If he overcommits, this is what's going to happen. Good takedown by Ambrose. He's got to go right to mount, but look at this. Oh, he's going for. I think he's going for a guillotine.
I think he's got it.
He's
tapped. Standing guillotine. Very nice by Mike Ambrose. I thought for a second there that Drew Parks was gonna sweep Mike Ambrose. I thought he was gonna end up in Ambrose's guard, and there once again the hips of a wrestler comes right up into a standing guillotine, and that's a submission that at the pro ranks you don't see a lot.
No.
That's kind of a panic submission. That's a good experience for Parks, a good way to feel that out, and a good win for Ambrose.
Yeah.
The winner and remaining undefeated, Michael. All right, get your tickets out. We're going to go ahead and do the 50-50 raffle. And the winner gets $317. The winning number is 8574441.
Super.
Who do we got? We got a winner up there? Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Beckett won what? $317. He donated it back.
Come back with.
Let's hear it for Jason. Wow.
Joined by Dan Strauss, Bellator featherweight tournament winner, quarterfinal winner, got his first win in the tournament. Like me and Mark were talking about earlier before our break, these guys have fought before. Ewing's had came out with the victory. But Super's coming off a huge win over Chris Bennett, and Chris Bennett is a legit 155er.
Yeah, he definitely looked good on that fight. Looked very strong.
So, and he's going to be riding high. That was a big win, and he's going to come out ready to fight. I don't think that loss to Ewing is in his head at all. Coming off of a win off of somebody like Bennett, he's going to be good to go. Both these guys have great amateur records. Ewing is 8-0. Suber was 10-2 before he made his pro debut. Now he's got a pro record of 1-1. Both very tough guys. I'm looking forward to this fight. So Dan, when is your semifinal match with Bellator?
I will be fighting in the semifinals on April 16th in Yuma, Arizona, against Kenny Foster out of the Bomb Squad in New York.
So write it down in your calendars, folks. April 16th.
MTV2. Come check me out. Try to do some work.
This is a catchweight fight at 160, but both guys came in under. Both of them weighed in at 157 pounds.
Miamisburg, Ohio. He represents Team Vision and Team Cruelty. With a record of 10 wins, no losses, he was the
Like I said, both these guys took this fight on short notice. It's a late ad.
Your referee, Greg Franklin.
Gentlemen, be giving your instructions back in the locker room. I want a good, clean fight. Obey my commands all times. If I have any questions out of the blue corner, any questions out of the red corner, touch close to the mouth. Let's go.
Ewing looks ready to fight. He's the taller of the two. He's more linky. Definitely got the reach advantage.
He looks pretty pumped to fight.
Absolutely. He looks like he's excited
really
for this.
pumped to fight.
And here we go at
You want him coming?
Big shots early.
Nice body shot, and Brendan countered with a nice straight.
Now the difference between the pros and the amateurs here in Ohio is we're under the unified rules. Elbows, knees to the face to a standing opponent, and head kicks are all legal. Ewing's coming here kind of throwing caution to the wind, and he's ate 2 left hooks from
He needs
Suber.
to put them hands up when he comes in.
I think that was a slip right to a takedown, right into side control. And I believe this is where Ewing won the fight before, taking him down on the ground and grinded it out. Ewing looked to trap the arm.
He needs to try to slide that right knee on the belly.
Just doing a very good job of staying dominant, keeping that dominant position. He's in a good spot to land elbows. This is, if Ewing beats him making his pro debut, this will be a huge win for Ewing, especially since Suber come off that big win over Chris Bennett.
Right, I completely agree.
And this is the way I like to see it. Both these guys fought as amateurs. They didn't rematch right away. They waited to the pro level. And but the outcome, everything's looking the same as it did the first fight.
Looks like he's trying to turn.
Good hips by Ewing.
Needs to settle back, sit his hips down.
He rushed the mount and ended up in side control, but it looks like he might be going for a Kimura. Nope.
He's caught in half guard there. If he can pull that leg out.
And back to guard. Now these are also 5-minute rounds, so they're not the 3-minute rounds that we've been seeing on the previous
pass.
6 fights.
Looks like he's passing, trying to slide that knee through.
And it's honestly, it was really wide open there. He could have slid it right through, but it looks like he's comfortable where he's at.
True.
Pulling the old Roger Bowling.
That is the old Roger Bowling. Very nice.
Shout out there to our fellow Vision fighter, Strike Force veteran Roger Bowling, coming off his big win, Strike Force in Columbus. Really dominating performance so far here by Ewing.
Ewing's doing a great job on top, controlling his opponent, and just picking his shots and landing the shots pretty clearly.
He's high.
Going for the rear naked.
but no hooks. Good reversal by Suber. He's got an anaconda.
Good arm drag.
Good takedown by Ewing. Ewing definitely the superior wrestler, definitely securing this round.
All right, then you please round.
That was a good first round for those guys, especially for Ewing. You know, he did a great job on, like I said, controlling this guy. As you said, he obviously has superior wrestling.
All right, say hello to the Chiefs, please.
Now, Dan, something that me and Mark Lehman were talking about earlier, I know you're going to like this because Mark is a stand-up guy. He's a great boxer, phenomenal kickboxer, and honestly, I think he's probably one of the best kickboxing instructors in our tri-state area.
Still an opportunity to pick up the event.
And I had made a comment that wrestling was definitely
Only $10.
the best sport to come out of to go into mixed martial arts. And believe it or not, Mark agreed with me.
Well, you know, I'm going to have to agree with you two as well. You know, I just think, you know, being a wrestler provides so much advantages as far as this sport. So, you know, being a wrestler is great in this sport. You know what I mean? It at the beginning it falters when you're trying to learn jiu-jitsu, but as an all-around, you know, fighter, it's pretty good.
Well, you know, the wrestler definitely dictates where the fight goes. You know, if he's got good hands and he wants to keep it to the feet, then that's where it stays.
Right. Going in for the shot is Ewing.
Drags him down.
Now, if Ewing can push that knee down, going for
the Kimura. Soften up the ribs.
Beating up that midsection pretty well.
It's hard to finish, and that is exactly what can happen when you got that side control locked down. But I look for a big toss here.
As he goes back to the shot. Has the mount.
Let's see what Suber should have done is separated there, not tried to get the takedown himself. But was such a good wrestler.
Right.
Doing. Should have separated and now he gives up his back and looks like he's
riding a little high. Looking for the
body.
rear naked.
Looks like he's close to having the body triangle there. Good peel away by Suber. He's got the rear naked choke.
He has it in tight.
Gives it up.
He gives it up.
He needs to flatten him out here. You can just tell the wrestling of Ewing. Always knowing where his opponent's at. Watch him flatten his hips, and he's going to come right back up and have his back one more time. Keeping a pretty good pace.
Nice elbow from the bottom.
He's high, and then
he says he slipped off the back.
Suber needs to sink his hips in, flatten him out, try to pass his guard. That is a rough position. Good job.
Suber delivering some nice elbows. Real nice elbows. See, and here's where I like to, you know, when you're in side mount right here and you have a guy You know, I just like to keep with the elbows, you know, because it's going to give your opponent's going to give up a bad position because, you know, nobody likes to get elbowed in the face.
And he's landing elbows from every position, from the top, from the side.
Norwood looks a little tired here.
He does look a little tired. Now remember, both these fighters took this fight on Wednesday. So, you know, conditioning could definitely play a factor, but if anybody was going to get tired, I thought it would have been Suber. Coming off the big win, you know he probably took a week or so off.
Sure. A lot of times, fights like this, it comes down to who has the biggest heart, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
You know, to me, in my opinion, it comes to who has the biggest heart. And, you know, those make for good fights at times.
I can't tell
We're
if
going for his back, sinking in his own rear naked.
Oh, and it looks pretty tight. Nope, it was just on the chin. What Suber needs to do is exactly what he was just getting ready to do, is post that hand, come up.
Use that cage.
Now he's got to finish the round strong. 10 seconds remaining.
That concludes round number 2. Wow.
That's a tough round to score. Ewing got the early takedown, dominated early, but Suber finished really strong.
Very strong. I think I believe it's he stole that round.
All right, it's Hank Burley.
I would say it's probably one round apiece. This is the deciding round right here.
Thanks again, Hank, for helping us out tonight.
And these guys look
So we got one more pro
They
fight
look beat.
here at
Yep,
Norwood
they
High
do.
School.
You know, this is Suber's third pro fight, coming off of the decision against Chris Bennett. But Ewing, this is the first time that he's went the 5-minute rounds. So, you know, you can train him in the gym all you want, but until you're in there for the first time.
It does make a difference. It makes a big difference.
Dan, I noticed you are sporting the Bangtown hat there.
I am. I very much am. I like my Bangtown hat. I would like to say thank you to all the Bangtown guys out there that helped me along my career.
Greg Franklin's going to get it started here for the third and final round, our first pro fight of the night. I think Suber has definitely got the better of the stand-up, coming from Walker MMA. And I think Ewing is very tired.
He looks exhausted. If Suber can push down on the head, well, let's go for the. Ewing gets a little. I don't know what to call it. It wasn't really a double leg, was it? Going back to the double leg.
You know, Suber is known for pushing the pace. That's how he won the Chris Bennett fight. He pushes the pace all the time. But in this fight, Ewing has pushed the pace. He's came after him the entire time.
And I have to say, you know, I seen the Chris Bennett fight, and he worked hard. You know, he really went after Chris Bennett in that fight. And, you know, I think he deserved that win when he got it because, you know, he worked extremely hard on it. And knowing that, you know, Chris Bennett is a great jiu-jitsu guy, and, you know, like Chris Bennett has a lot of success. He didn't, you know, you didn't see any fear in him. You know, he still went for his takedowns. He got his takedowns. He fought off submissions, and, you know, he came out with the big W.
Well, and you know, that's the thing. Chris Bennett has probably got 25 plus fights, amateur and pro. That is a lot of experience. And for somebody like Suber, who has 12 fights to come in and do what he did, that's impressive.
Outstanding.
I mean, this fight is really anybody's fight right now. He's doing a really good job of peeling that hook away. He's in a bad spot right here. It's a painful position to be in.
If he can seek that arm under that chin, oh, he loses it. That kind of looks familiar.
Yep.
This is where Brandon needs to work now. If he wants to win this fight, he needs to work in that guard and, you know, beat Ewan up. You know, keep that head in the cage, throw a lot of punches.
And you know, Greg Franklin's a very good referee. If Suber's doing work here and doing damage, he won't stand him up, and this is where the round will stay if he works. And I think Ewan is just exhausted.
Body, head.
Good elbow. Now, Ewan in the position to wall walk here if he can get his back against the cage, but Suber doing a good job of pulling him out, not letting him.
What he needs to do is pass that guard.
It's wide open.
Going for the rear naked.
And it looks deep. It looks deep. Nope.
No. Wow.
I do not envy the judges with this round. The determination of a wrestler is
tremendous.
Yeah.
I believe it's because in the wrestling room, man, we're taught that we're not allowed to quit. You know, so it shows in life when you can pick a wrestler out from anywhere.
Oh, absolutely.
Good fight.
You know, even though Ewing finished on top, I think Suber did enough to win that round.
I believe so too. I think in this third round he did enough to secure.
I'm gonna have to go 29-28 Suber on this one.
I would agree.
And look at both fighters sitting in the cage, exhausted. They left it all out there without a doubt. You know, and these guys were talking at weigh-ins today. They do have a lot of respect for each other.
Well, I thought that fight was incredible. Let's hear it for both fighters. Wow.
And here's Rick Toms with a decision.
And it was a close one. The winner of this fight by a split decision from the red corner.
Wow. I did not see that coming. I would have definitely gave that fight 29-28. But you know, those judges they're out there for a reason, you know.
Quinn is an excellent stand-up guy.
You know what Quinn really likes to do is he is a great body puncher, and you know this is a weight class below. Jeremy Myers is a 145-pound fighter. They met at 140. but you know, Quinn's 2 wins are at 125, so he's definitely given up some size. But you know, this is going to be a good one. I'm nervous for this one, but I think it's going to be a great fight. And both of these fighters, win or lose, it's not a bad fight to have on your resume, because Jeremy Myers is a tough kid, going places. Quinn Broomfield is a tough kid. And this is a fight that I think that, win or lose tonight, 5 years down the road, these guys are going to meet again. But it's going to be in one of the big shows, the Strikeforce, the Bellator, or the UFC. Vision Dayton versus Vision Cincinnati. They've never trained together, but they both just choose to train at the best camps in their area. Here we go.
I'm actually, I feel like this. The reason why I speak of this is because the whole Rashad Evans, John Jones thing. I feel like this is business. Absolutely, when it comes to it, if you have to fight a team man, well then sometimes you just have to fight a team man. See them both hanging their hands a little low.
And he's landing elbows.
Quinn, old school boxer, very fast, very good hands.
He does look like
Excellent counter puncher.
factor, but
Nice.
anybody who's going to be coming off the big win, he probably took a week or so off.
Kind of what I thought would happen here with Jeremy Myers. Looking for the immediate takedown. triangle choke. But it also was at 125. So, Jeremy Myers is much bigger here. A much bigger fighter. But when this fight was offered to Quinn, he didn't hesitate. He took it. Quinn loves that body triangle from his back. He really uses it to control. And he will throw up a triangle from there.
Post that come up. Now he's got to
And back what you were talking about, Dan. These guys are fighting for a paycheck. This is what these guys do. Like I said, they've actually never trained together. So,
yeah, and like I said, these two guys don't train together. It makes it a little bit easier to fight each other. But there is times where you see two guys that have trained together, that are friends, that know each other personally, inside and outside the cage. Some guys don't want to do it. Me personally, I never want to fight a teammate.
So we got one more profile right here at Norwood High School. Food is half off.
coming off of the decision against Chris Bennett. This is the
Make sure you stop by our
and
table.
these guys are going to hug. No matter what happens, these guys are going to hug afterwards. And you never know, they might end up training together.
Wait up.
And I noticed you were spoken to the
All right, fight fans, this is the third and final round. Let these fighters hear ya.
Right now, Quinn is just trying to contain. He's trying not to let Jeremy Myers posture up and rain down punches. The weight cut, Quinn cut no weight for this. Jeremy Myers did have to cut for this. He missed his first weigh-in today by 6/10, so he had to go. He had an hour to cut. And this is what Quinn was looking for. He wants the stand up, the separation. And to me, Myers already looks tired. I think as the longer this fight goes, it definitely benefits Broomfield. Not cutting any weight for a pro fight is very rare. I mean, Daniel, you've done it a few times. I know that you walk around at 52, 53, and has fought at 55. Obviously, 45 is where you want to be, where your home's at.
Well, yeah, definitely.
But, that's the thing. Painful position.
If you notice, Quinn standing upright, breathing fine. Myers is sitting down. I think it closes you up. It doesn't allow you to get full deep breaths.
Doing work here and doing damage. He wants that around the stage.
I look for Myers to go for the immediate takedown. Quinn's got to be careful here is to not.
That and reaching down.
Yeah, that's bad news. But what he's got to be careful here is he
Getting in the position to wall walk here.
he can be aggressive to a certain point, but he can't be so aggressive that he gives Jeremy his hips and gets the takedown. Once again, Myers with takedown. Seems like he wants no part of the stand-up with Ken Broomfield.
Mentioned Rocky Road earlier. You know, some guys do like being half guard. Looks deep, especially some wrestling. You know what I mean? You can control the hips a little bit better.
The Randy Coutures of the world, the phenomenal wrestlers who don't mind being there, trapping the leg and doing, the ground and pound.
Determination of the wrestler.
Getting some nice elbows on top.
Let's go. Get up. 15 seconds.
Good escape.
His hips here so he doesn't get lifted.
So far, a dominating performance by Myers with the wrestling. Once again, this is what we were just talking about. The wrestler dictates where the fight goes. Broomfield has got the boxing background.
It all out there without a doubt.
Dictating the pace and dictating where it goes is always a big measure in this sport. Vicious elbow. Dropping that arm, doing some more elbows.
Needs to get that right arm out of there, this Broomfield.
He has a crucifix.
We might have a split decision here, but it takes this long to tally up the scorecards.
Myers hands Broomfield his first loss.
We very well could have a split decision.
Throwing up the Ranger up straight.
And there's the sportsmanship that we were talking about.
Great fight, great fight.
The winner by referee stoppage TKO, Jeremy Kamikaze Myers.
Well, my friend, it's been fun.
Well, I thank you and I appreciate you having me.
Thanks for watching Fighting for Our Future. For Daniel Strauss and Rodney Barker, have a good one.